This episode of the Artist Series is sponsored by Flowkey. This is a prize-winning app that teaches you how to play the piano with the songs you love. I'm a big fan of this myself, so go check it out in the description or watch until the end to find out how to save 10% on a premium account. What's up everyone, it's Friedemann Findeisen from Holistic Songwriting, and welcome to the second season of the Artist Series, where we talk about the biggest rock artists in the world and what we can learn from them. Today we take a close look at the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and specifically those albums that John Frusciante was involved in. If this is your first time watching the series, the way it works is that we first define the image of the band, how do they come across, what do they stand for, who listens to them, and then we see how this image was created. We do this by linking it up to the songwriting, the music videos, the lyrics, and so on. Start by thinking of 3 or 4 words that you associate with the Red Hot Chili Peppers and post them in the comments, then come back to me. If you're a musician, take a bit of time. Train yourself in analyzing how an artist comes across. Ready? Then here's my words, and I'd be thoroughly surprised if the first one wasn't on everyone's list. Number 1, California. Number 2, simplicity. And number 3, nonsense. And yes, those are 3 separate points. Why is California so obvious? Well, they are from California. They made an entire album called Californication, and there's the eponymous song, and Danny California. It's also referenced a number of times in the lyrics, like in Under the Bridge, Around the World, Deep Kick, Desecration Smile, Emmett Remus, Fight Like a Brave, The Greeting Song, Happiness Loves Company, Hollywood, Magic Johnson, Parallel Universe, Purple Stain, Tear, The Organic Anti-Beatbox, True Men Don't Kill Coyotes, Out in LA, Ready Made, and Warlocks. Most of their music videos take place in the Golden State as well, such as Californication, which is set in LA, and San Francisco. Tell Me Baby's video is about chasing the dream in LA. Scar Tissue was filmed in the Mojave Desert. Dark Necessities and The Adventures of Raindance Maggie are LA, and both Suck My Kiss and By the Way start with very obvious references to the City of Angels. That was a mouthful. But it's not just the song titles or the music videos or the lyrics or the attitude or the surfing or the constant shirtlessness. It's also the music itself. Guitarist Frusciante is a big fan of the Beach Boys, who heavily influenced our perception of what California is supposed to sound like. For example, listen to these backing vocals from the Zephyr song, which sound remarkably like doo-wop or vocal surf. Conclusion. I think it's fair to say that the band wants us to know where they're from. California, Hollywood, and LA have become a major player in the band's image. The question is, why? I'm always looking for the emotion behind decisions like this, so what does California bring to the table? Well, for a start, it's warm and sunny, and while living in such a place doesn't actually make you any happier, thinking of living there does. Then there's the American dream. Running away to California and making it big there has been a thing since the gold rush, really. Hope, glamour, and fame are a big part of what California adds to the band's image. And of course there's liberals, sexual freedom, drug use, surfing, and all kinds of surrealist and expressionist arts, which have found their way into some of the music videos as well, like Other Side or Can't Stop. So that's California. Let's get to what you really want to know about. Let's talk about simplicity. Frusciante's most famous riffs certainly follow the principle less is more. He often supports the bass with simple one-note comps, and even when the song revolves around him, he often plays just 1 or 2-note riffs. A similarity between almost all of his riffs is that there is often a motif that's being repeated over different bass notes, as in Can't Stop or Snow. Even more noticeable, the strumming patterns are usually very consistent throughout these riffs. In other words, once he has a picking pattern for one bar, he typically just repeats it for the remainder of the riff. And so the writing mainly consists of finding an interesting strumming pattern and using it over different chords. The band also doesn't use a lot of overdubs or fancy effects like reverb, or stereo. The production is pretty minimalist. In terms of harmony, the band often contrasts their funky bits with very colorful chord progressions, such as the ever-popular 1-5-6-4 and its chord rotations.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. Come to decide that the things that I tried were in my life just to get high on. Tell me, baby, what's your story? How long will I slide? Separate us. Well, I got a bad disease. Tears I dropped to be part of the wave can't stop away upon the mountain where she died.
In their pop tunes, Frusciante stays consistently tonal, but he throws in a key change here and there to keep things fresh, like switching from A minor to F sharp minor in Californication's solo, or from A minor to D in Zephyr Song's chorus. Okay, let's geek out just a little bit and look at those transitions. In Californication, we're going from a D minor to an F sharp minor. Hard transition, no secondary dominant that leads into it, big surprise. Still works completely fine. It's only when we go back to the main riff that Frusciante starts using a dominant chord. In Zephyr Song, the switch from F to D is just as surprising as the one in Californication. Going back is again much smoother, changing just one note from A to A minor.
Fly away on my Zephyr. We'll find a place together. Fly on.
I gotta be honest, listening to this makes me think I've been approaching key changes wrong. I always went in thinking I needed to find a clever transition into them, when all I really needed was an exit strategy. When we return to what we've already heard, that's where we need a smooth transition, not when we start something new. Because if we're gonna completely smooth out the key change, then why do it in the first place? Just food for thought. Let's talk about nonsense, because there's a lot here. From playing gigs naked to some rather questionable videos, the Chili Peppers have never been shy to go crazy on stage and in their music videos. Here I'd like to focus on the lyrics though. Like Deftones or some System of a Down songs, the lyrics are full of power words. And like those other bands, the main focus is on emotion and sound rather than meaning. Psychic spies from China try to steal your mind's elation doesn't mean much, but it sounds great and is a completely unique line that nobody in the history of the world has ever used or will ever use again. But why does it sound so good? I think it's because of Anthony's rhyming dictionary type writing style. Don't forget that he's primarily a rapper and he's using some of the techniques he learned there for his sung melodies as well. And that's groove, of course, but it's also rhyming. And so in this line, there's actually a few of these, what's called an internal assonance rhyme. Internal because it doesn't happen at the end of the line, and assonance because the only thing that rhymes is the vowel. Psychic, spies, China, try, mind. While these words are far from true rhymes, they still tie the line together and make it easier to sing and remember. You know how everyone says repeat stuff if you want your song to be memorable? Well, that goes for everything, not just melodies or lines of text. Note also that he used the word steal, which breaks with this vowel sound. I mean, he could have used buy or mine, which would have worked just as well. But there's more to it. Steal rhymes with Sweden, dream, and screen from the next line, which also introduces a new vowel in the form of little, girl, and silver. Here's some more examples.
Firstborn unicorn, hardcore softcore.
Born, corn, core, and porn all rhyme assonantly, as do hard and soft.
Scar tissue that I wish you saw. Sarcastic Mr. Know-It-All.
Here, scar rhymes with the sar of sarcastic, tissue rhymes with wish you and Mr., that rhymes with Cass, and saw rhymes with all. Although that's not an internal rhyme, of course. In some of the funkier songs, he goes a little far with this approach, as in Around the World with such lines as
Me, oh my, oh me and I, oh freer than a bird, 'cause I'm rockin' no high ho.
Now, if you're asking who this guy O is and why you're freer than a bird if you rock Ohio with him, you're asking the wrong questions. This wasn't written for content, it was written for sound. And weirdly enough, in the Chili Peppers universe, which is a little mental to begin with, it fits. The key here is that funk or groove is music that you need to move to in order to get it. And when you move, rhythm and flow is everything. This is not poetry that's meant to be read aloud or taken apart. It's a means to an end. Like all groove-based music, funk has its origins in African tribal music. There, one person starts drumming, then another joins in, maybe in a different meter with different accents, but the same groove. Then another joins in, then someone stops playing, and so on. Songs didn't have a clear beginning and end. It was all a loop, an experience that you become a part of. Traditionally, Western music, with its harmonies, meters, melodies, and structures, is about telling a story, about the path from point A to B. It can be divided into beats, bars, and sections, and there's a clear start and end point. And so even though Anthony sings on a lot of the tracks on Californication, and by the way, his approach is that of a rapper. His number one concern is flow, not content. But here's where I think the magic of the Chili Peppers comes in, what Anthony adds to the band. By using this approach to lyric writing, with its many internal assonance, rhymes, and power words, he creates this great sounding poetry with little to no content that, weirdly enough, makes sense in the California setting. It's all looks, no substance. And so when he sings "Psychic spies from China try to steal your mind's elation" and follows that up with "Dream of Californication," there's almost a meta meaning we attach to those lines. Anthony is as much a victim of Californication and falling for the American dream as the people he is describing in his lyrics. And if that was intentional, I think it's actually pretty damn clever. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and sign up to the Holistic Songwriting mailing list to grab a bunch of welcome gifts. Also, the last artists on this season will be picked by my patrons, but if you want to make suggestions for next season, feel free to comment. Stay gefährlich, folks. Okay, let's talk about our sponsor flowkey, because folks, this is pretty cool. In simple terms, this is an app that you can use to learn how to play the piano. And if you want to write pop music, that's still one of the best instruments to learn. The coolest part about it is it recognizes what you play through your phone's microphone, or alternatively, a MIDI keyboard. So you can practice anywhere on any piano, and you don't need any additional gear. And they have a nice selection of songs too, with songs from artists we did on this very show, like Ed Sheeran, The Weeknd, Coldplay, Nirvana, Sia, Taylor Swift, and so on. If you want the premium version, go to the description. There's 2 links there, one to sign up and another to get 10% off. Cheers.